What's up, ladies and gents? This is Idaho Dub with my first NCAA Road to Glory video. As you can see, I've picked my top 3 schools: Baylor, Vanderbilt, and Oregon State. They ask you to pick 3 schools when you start out, and then throughout your high school career before you go to signing day, different schools will offer you scholarships or show interest in you. I'm obviously going to play on the Heisman difficulty, even though some of you are probably like, Dub, why are you doing that? You should be playing on a lower difficulty, my man. This video, I'm going to do what I did the last 2 years. I'm going to kind of show you some gameplay throughout my high school career. We'll see if Idaho Dub III can win the state championship. We'll see where he ends up going to school. But I kind of want to talk about the gameplay. This is really the only video where I get to talk about the actual game and my first impressions on it. And I've only played pretty much Road to Glory. I hopped into the Dynasty mode real quick. I have not checked out Ultimate Team. But there's some things I want to talk to you about with Road to Glory, because I know a lot of you are Road to Glory fans. So one, the rosters. Since I had the game since last Friday, I had the EA Sports early release, so I've been playing Road to Glory. I edited the rosters of the schools that I thought I might end up going to. Just some of the skill position players. So some of the names are accurate, but most of them aren't. And the reason I couldn't download a roster is because there wasn't a roster up last Friday when I started. So if some of you are frustrated that I don't have the actual names of the players again, I apologize. But it did work this time. So I changed some of the names of the players on the roster, and when I went into Road to Glory, their names were in there. So that was pretty sweet. That hadn't happened in the past. I had actually had the rosters in the past, and it didn't happen. So that has worked out. One thing I do want to mention about Road to Glory is I changed some numbers because I wanted to be number 8, and I changed some numbers on the players because I wanted to be number 8. And it doesn't matter if you change them; they don't let you pick that number anyways. It might show up as that number, but it won't let you pick that number. So I'll show you what I mean when we get later into the video. Another thing is the Road to Glory is a lot harder than I remember it being the past 2 seasons. So you have the coach's trust thing, where you play well, you get the coach's trust. If you're not a starter, you can become a starter. He gives you more control to the offense as you progress and so forth. They are very, very stingy with their points. They do not give you a ton of points for the good things you do, and they punish you for the bad things. So if you throw an interception, it's like a negative 130 points. And that's not only in a game, that's in practice. So it's good for me because I throw a lot of interceptions, and it's making me play a little bit better and try to make better decisions. A fumble, it kind of varies. A fumble is usually like 60 points or 65 points. I notice sacks are like usually 20 some odd points, like 25, 26. But sometimes they'll just call it a tackle for a loss, which is only however many yards you lost behind the line of scrimmage. So it's kind of an odd system, but you can lose your starting job very quickly, especially if you're barely the starter for a team and you have a couple interceptions. You are screwed. You will be done for. Because I played some Road to Glory before I decided to start this Road to Glory, and I just kind of wanted to check it out and make sure I had everything correct before I dove into the Idaho Dub III. Overall, though, the Road to Glory is pretty fun. One thing I noticed is, and I talk about this a lot in other videos, what I wanted for NCAA 2014, would the annotations be different? So basically, like when when you're going into a stadium or something, you show the players running in, you have the mascots doing a trick, whatever. I was hoping that they might change it up because they were pretty much the same last year as they were in NCAA 2012. And this year they did change it. They just took it out. So when you go into a Road to Glory game, it just takes you straight to the coin toss, which I guess isn't that big of a deal. It probably makes a lot of people happier if you're just playing the game. But for me, I like to do kind of a little bit of an intro before I dive into the game. And now I'm going to be showing the coin toss. So it's kind of disappointing for me. With the new engine that they're using this year, the way that the players maneuver is a little different. I obviously notice it because I'm a quarterback and I like to scramble. But I noticed that it's not as easy to stop and go on a dime or juke people. And I definitely think they corrected that last year too. So it will eliminate, when you're playing against people, maybe the scrambling quarterbacks a little bit more. Because I've noticed that it's a lot harder, 1, to hold on to the ball if you're a running quarterback, and 2, you tend to like fall down a lot more. You trip over your line and so forth. So I definitely think that they made the game a little bit more of an even playing field. You won't be getting those those schools that maybe if somebody's playing as Texas A&M, it won't be as easy to run around with Johnny Manziel. I don't know. I haven't played as the other quarterbacks. Maybe it's just because my guy isn't as polished as Johnny Manziel or the other players in the game, and he still has some lower attributes. But I definitely have noticed a difference in the feel of the game from the last 2 years, and overall I think it's good. So that's kind of my 2 cents on the road to glory. Obviously I haven't played the other game modes yet, but I plan on checking those out, and I think this year I'm going to do like a weekly or maybe bi-weekly video, or who knows. You know me, I'm tough. It's a little hard when it comes to sticking to schedules for me, but I'm going to try to put up like, a multiplayer match here and there and just kind of talk about the game or what's going on in the college football world or the NFL or whatever. And that's kind of my goal. So that's my 2 cents on the road to glory mode so far. So without further ado, let's dive into where Idaho Dub III is going to school. So as you can see, these are the schools that offered ID3 a scholarship. We have Alabama, USC, Boise State, West Virginia, Tennessee, BYU, Baylor, Oregon State, Arizona, Idaho, Washington State, Vanderbilt, and Nevada. Whew, a lot of those schools, a lot of you wanted me to go to. So going into signing day, there's a lot that ID3 has to think about. Since I have this channel, it's really hard for me to go to a school where I'm not going to be starting right off the bat. I don't want to miss out on playing in any games. So I really have kind of canceled out, which is a lot of schools, but I've canceled out schools that are only going to offer me a position as second string or third string. So that pretty much eliminates everybody. So we have BYU, Baylor, Vanderbilt, who else we got in here? Idaho, and that's it, man. I can't even start at Washington State, a 1-star prestige. I can't even start there. So I put a lot of thought into this decision. I thought about you guys, and I think what I'm going to have to do, because there was a lot of people who voted for this school, and they're going to let me start, and they're in the SEC, and they're not quite the big name school that you're used to. ID3 is going to take his talents to Vanderbilt. As you can see, they'd let me choose the number 8, but they end up giving me the number 2. My overall Spark score was 105. Idaho Dub is packing his bags, driving to school, and he will be the starting quarterback for the Vanderbilt Commodores.